Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm excited to share today. And I do have some slides if I'm able to share them. Will they show up on the screen? Well, okay, fantastic. Well, hello everyone. Yeah, so I guess to introduce myself, Brigitte Spurgeon, I am a global and holistic nutritionist. I have a background in clinical nutrition and and also specifically in metabolic health and weight loss. And I'm very proud to work with clients all over the world on four or five continents. And yeah, it's been quite an amazing journey. I was so excited to find Zinzino just I think 5 or 6 months ago. And it's really just brought into focus a lot of principles and facts that I have been teaching for many years. And actually to have supplements that meet the needs of my clients in in the best way possible. So I'm going to be speaking about that today. For those of you in the Algarve, I just will let you know that officially I have the dates where I will be my husband and I will be in the Algarve, basically July 1st through August 31st. So hopefully we can do some get-togethers or some training locally there. So let me share my screen. So so today I'm speaking about products obviously outside of the balance oil, which to me the balance oil it is probably the greatest supplement on the planet. I recommend every single person to take the balance oil. I have tested over 100 people, and literally not one person has had sufficient EPA, and that just speaks volumes. And certainly we know all the data coming out of Vitas Labs. But we have many trainings on the balance oil, on omega, on the testing. So I wanted to focus on the next supplements that I use personally and that I recommend for my clients around the world. And I thought I'd just start off too, just as we think about our role in global health and our focus as we help our clients. I think it's really important for us to have, we have big dreams, but for us to bring that focus in on a micro level, because really at the forefront of the nutrition field right now is cellular health and cellular healing, and everyone is looking to the cell. So we have a key piece of information that relates to the cell membrane, to the lipid membrane, but also more specifically, I think we don't talk about enough, that also looks at the mitochondria and the mitochondrial membrane. And so amazing healing happens there. So if we look at our responsibility as we speak to people about supplementation, about nutraceuticals, and about nutrition, it is realizing the power that we have and the role that we have in education, but targeted, gentle, and natural supplementation is crucial for cellular healing. The thing is, there's so many people that have uninformed and high dose supplementation that includes synthetics, and this puts your health at risk. And I have seen this with clients coming to work with me. I literally have seen someone come to me with 10 to 15 bottles of supplements, handfuls of supplements that they're taking every day, and they're dealing with all the, whether it be skin rashes or chronic diarrhea or headaches or something. And I do a supplement review. I look at their supplements and I realize that their supplements are making them sick because they're taking too much of certain things, or their contraindications, or their synthetics. And I'm going to speak about that in detail today. So I think there's a really important part of this training. But I will I will just tell someone, stop and see what happens. And they've stopped all their supplementations and they have gotten well. So there's a lesson here that supplements can make you sick, because if we're just taking them for the sake of taking them and just thinking that more is better, and you read this thing on the internet, or you see this Instagram reel that talks about XYZ, we have to be really careful. And so I feel like it's our responsibility to help the world be responsible in their supplementation, to target that. And remember, more is not better. We have to target what our body needs for healing. And so the place that we start, we use this as a lens. I love Dr. Paul Clayton's teaching on the pillars of health and healing. And these align with, once again, what I've been teaching for years. And so I'm just going to piggyback on this. But this is a way that when you are working with your customers, use this lens and also use this as a teaching point to simplify our healing focus. So we look at correcting metabolic insufficiency, chronic inflammation, which is cellular inflammation, correcting nutrient deficiencies. If we could just correct nutrient deficiencies, do you know that a lot of the planet wouldn't need medications? It's really powerful. And so testing for these is so important. And then the fourth one is dysbiosis, which that's looking at the gut microbiome and gut function. So I want to start off today by looking at, I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with the MTHFR gene mutation. Um, so I don't hear about this when I'm working with practitioners and coaches and clients in Europe, or really even as much in Asia or Africa. However, in the US, I think a lot of people know, they've been tested for MTHFR, or they know what it refers to, but this is really critical. So this is a genetic mutation. It's a gene that makes an enzyme that methylates vitamins, okay? So we can look specifically at B vitamins. This gene mutation affects over 40% of the population. So that is significant, because that means 40% of people are not able to make the active form of vitamins like folate, so B9, B12, and B6. And this affects their ability to detoxify. So people with this gene mutation, and by the way, there are other mutations similar to this, but this one is a popular one. Um, and people can have different variations of this, because with genetic mutations, you get one from each parent. Okay, so you could have a double allele, so one from each, or you could have just from one parent. So there are different degrees of how this mutation affects someone. But if someone has this variant, it increases their risk of high homocysteine. So when you have high homocysteine, puts you at risk for cardiovascular disease, as is not good, inflammation in the body. So heart disease, strokes, miscarriages, fertility issues, depression, anxiety, or even bipolar, schizophrenia, migraines, problems be detoxifying. So someone with these variants, they normally, it reduces their ability to detox by 50 to 75%. So these mutations normally have an incidence of mercury and arsenic toxicity, but could also be lead and other things, endothelial dysfunction, histamine intolerance. So especially for people who have lived a lot of their life struggling with inflammation, with like mental health issues, cognition issues, infertility, toxicity issues, it is probable that it's related to this. Now, you can test for this mutation. It's something you could ask your doctor for. There are home tests that are available as well. I just don't know how that is in different countries. But I mentioned this mutation because this plays a huge factor in supplementation. So let me just go over some solutions here. So eating folate-rich food, so getting your B's from food sources. There is, so if you follow someone like a Gary Brecka, this is like Gary Brecka's message to the world is check your genes and supplement with methyl B vitamins, methylated multivitamins versus standard synthetic vitamins. Because what happens in this pathway is when you're taking a synthetic B vitamin, so synthetics would be cyanocobalamin or folic acid, it actually blocks the body's ability to utilize the natural forms of it. So people who have this mutation, when they take synthetic Bs, it will make them sicker and it will make their condition worse. So they have to have natural Bs. Um, and okay, so that's all I wanted to say here. So now let's go on. This is why I love Extend Plus. This is why for a multi, I recommend this supplement. So it's because it has the natural B vitamins in it. So they have plant-based B vitamins that come from sprouted buckwheat. And I have confirmed that the bees that they extract from the sprouted buckwheat, they are the methylated version of the B vitamins, okay? And so this is gentle supplementation. That's why I use that word gentle. Our responsibility is to help our customers supplement in a natural and gentle way. And so we're not, because it's naturally derived, we're not getting high doses. So in other multivitamins or B complex, when they're using synthetics, a lot of times they're using really high doses. What people will say is, oh, well, B vitamins are water soluble, so you just urinate it out. The problem is something still has to process that. So your liver still has to process that. Even if you don't have MTHFR gene mutation, your liver is still doing the work. So we want to make the job on our liver as easy as possible. So that's why I like the naturally derived B vitamins. Once again, they are the methylated forms and they're the plant-based methylated forms. If you look at getting another version of a multi, or if you want to do a combination, I do this myself and I recommend it for my clients. I combine it with a desiccated organ, so a glandular, because like something like liver or the organ meats, they have the natural methylated forms of the B vitamins as well. So that's the number one reason why I like Extend, why I recommend this specific product to my clients. The next reason is, which this is what makes Extend stand out to any other multivitamin that on the planet, is the beta glucans. So have you ever seen that in a multivitamin? I don't think so. And it also has a really, so it has different beta glucans than we have in the Zinobiotic. It has the beta glucans from the yeast, from the baker's yeast. And those are the beta glucans that have been studied to be really powerful for the immune system, specifically when it comes to viral and bacterial infections. Dr. Paul Clayton has a really good training on Carla's channel about beta glucans, and you can see the research that has been done on that. Really powerful for cancer patients, for patients with any immunity issues, susceptibility to infections. This is really powerful. Oh, excuse my typo there. The next thing is supports bone health. And so the minerals in the Extend, like we look at boron, magnesium. It's got a little bit of D in there. By the way, it's got the natural form of the D, which I'm going to talk about in my next slide. And so the way, and the vitamin K2, the way that the minerals are formulated in the Extend is to support basically tissue regeneration and bone health. Wide variety of antioxidants, for like it's got lutein, zeaxanthin. There's just several things in there's broccoli extract, tomato extract, so many things. So you have the polyphenols and the antioxidants that are going to fill the gaps from our diet and give us that extra boost. Specifically, Extend Plus supports detoxification with its nutrients, and this is one of my recommendations when I do detoxification protocols. And so typically I may have someone take 2 capsules a day of the Extend, but if we're doing a protocol, I up that to 4 capsules a day to get the proper dosages. And so it supports the different phases of detoxification with its nutrients. So I like this generally to fill nutrient gaps that we can't get every day from our food, although we want to have as good of a diet as possible. It's just we're not going to hit that mark every day. And um, and then once again, I recommend 2 capsules a day, generally speaking, but there's scenarios where I would recommend having 4, which is the full serving. That's going to be for a detoxing protocol. That's going to be if someone is doing any kind of calorie restriction or any elimination diets or something where you're not getting full array of nutrients, or during pregnancy, I would recommend the full dosage as well. You can combine this with a glandular to get additional B vitamins. I like to take this in the morning. You don't have to take this with food, but sometimes this is a very gentle supplement. But you could take it with breakfast. Sometimes people taking supplements on an empty stomach, they might not feel very good. But I will take this one on an empty stomach myself. I like to take it in the morning for supporting my energy and getting going with all my antioxidants and my beta glucans. The next one I want to talk about is Zinoshine. So outside of omega-3 deficiency, vitamin D is going to follow for the next major deficiency on the planet. And if we do the calculations with deficiency and insufficiency, we possibly could find there's about a 70%, meaning 70% of the globe is probably deficient in vitamin D, because I don't look at reference ranges. So the reference ranges are going to look at over a 30 for a vitamin D number. Honestly, my recommendation, not medical advice, but I like to see between a 60 and an 80 value for a vitamin D. And so the reason why I love Zinoshine is because it is a natural, once again, I typed this in a hurry, forgive my typos. It is a natural form of vitamin D3. So you have, let's just say 3 different forms. So if you're doing a prescription vitamin D, they are recommending a D2, which is ergocalciferol, and that is not bioavailable at all. They recommend high doses. We don't see much of a change in the numbers from those doses, and actually that can put stress on your body and can actually be very bad for your body, can affect calcification in the arteries, can have some issues in the body. So vitamin D2, don't supplement with that. So now we look at a D3. So with D3, we have 2 options. We have the synthetic form, which is lanolin, and that comes from it's a derivative of the sheep's wool. And to extract that, it's got to go through a lot of processing. So this is a highly processed and highly synthetic form of D3 that is present in the world's D3 supplements. And so we didn't know any better years ago. So we knew that D3 was important. We knew that it was a huge deficiency, and a lot of natural practitioners were just loading people up on D3. It was working. We were seeing it in their test scores, but that came at a cost. And that cost was a lot of clients started to see either calcification in the artery, so CAC score going up, or kidney stones or gallbladder stones. And this is because of overdosing on the synthetic. And so when someone looks at the numbers in the Zinoshine and they're like, oh, this is not a high amount. I'm used to taking 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 IU. Well, guess what? You were putting your arteries, your kidneys, and your gallbladder at risk. And so, once again, we've got to supplement gently. We've got to work with our physiology, not against our physiology. We have to be careful that supplementation doesn't become like a pharmaceutical drug, which I feel like that's happened in the supplementation industry, is they've just made it look natural, but you're just taking a pharmaceutical at the end of the day. So Zinoshine is naturally derived from lichen, and so this is going to be a more bioavailable form. It's going to be more natural on the body. They include it with a natural magnesium, which is essential for conversion. A lot of people get confused, and this D3K2 combination, like I think everyone just like thinks that this is the gold standard for D3 supplementation, but there's a misunderstanding here. You don't need K2 to absorb D3, okay? You need magnesium to convert. I'll talk about absorption in a second, but you need magnesium to convert it to its usable form, so that's important. The K2 comes in where it is utilizing it in the tissue, okay? And that helps. So the whole utilization has to do with calcium. And so having the D levels helps you absorb the calcium. But if you don't have the adequate K2, then you're not going to get that. So you're not going to transport that calcium into the tissues where it's needed, like into the bone, for example. Okay, I just want to be clear on how that works. So if you have too much D3, guess what? You can absorb too much calcium, and that can cause problems in itself. And then, but the same thing. So I love hearing Dr. Paul talk about K2, why they didn't put K2 in the D3 supplement, because it affects the dosages if someone needs more. Okay. To optimize absorption, the research shows that absorption of D3 is optimized with fat, because it is a fat soluble vitamin, and also probiotics have shown to help with absorption. So if you're having this with some fat like coconut oil, or with your balanced oil, or with a meal with avocado or egg, or if you're having it with I don't know, like yogurt, for example, you have a probiotic with it that helps to maximize absorption. I recommend testing your levels every 4 to 6 months, because seasons change and nutrition can change. And also I recommend doing this so that you can optimize your numbers to see where you land. So this might take testing this, 3 or 4 or 5 times to see what your dosage needs to be, and where you land with the different seasons. So the last one that I'm going to speak about, and then I'm done, is Zinobiotic. So we've added 3 supplements here. Once again, these are what I take, and these are what I recommend to all of my clients. So Xenobiotics specifically, I wish, oh my word, when I specialized in weight loss and I created programs, I've actually gone back and I've revised my programs, and I said if I had this information years ago, I would have included a xenobiotic and a balanced oil in all of my weight loss programs. It's actually critical to do that in a healthy way. And the reason is, when someone's losing weight, they're normally cutting carbs, right? Complex carbohydrates. So some of the foods where you're normally getting some of your key fiber from. So, like for example, my clients, they don't eat corn. They're not doing rice. They're not doing like wheat and gluten. And so because they're not doing grains, and so they get to miss some key fiber, or even oats. So I love this addition. I love being able to incorporate them. And so let me tell you why this is so important. So for one, these are prebiotic fibers, and these fibers, they not only help with bowel motility, so they're going through the digestive tract, through the small intestine, into the large intestine, and they're targeting the 3 different parts of the colon, okay? ascending, transcending, and descending colon. And so it's helping with that motility, getting the bowel at the right speed, because it's all about the speed at which your waste goes through. If it's too fast, you have diarrhea. If it's too slow, you have constipation. If it's too fast, you're not getting proper absorption. If it's too slow, you're getting ototoxicity. So you have to have the right speed going through. So it targets that. The other thing that it's doing is it is balancing out the microbiome by feeding the gram-positive bacteria. So this then is going to have an effect on the immune system, on the hormones. It's going to affect nutrient absorption and nutrient creation through the microbiome. Also, it's going to help to reduce with your meals. It's going to help to reduce the sugar spikes, like fibers do, and it's going to support healthy lipids. So one thing I'm going to give you a challenge to look at your diets. So in my opinion, because gut health is foundational, the person with the most diverse and most robust microbiome wins at the health game. Okay. So what you need to do, research has shown that people with more than 30 unique plant fibers in a week, they have the best microbiomes. So that's my challenge for you. Over the next week, count your unique plant fibers. So all your vegetables count, your fruits count, whole grains count, although my clients don't do whole grains because of inflammation. Spices count, like a turmeric or ginger, garlic counts. What else? Seeds count. All right. So unique plant fibers. So count 30. If you take Zinobiotic, you already have 8. So then you just need 24. So when I'm working with my clients, that's my question for them. Do you get over 30 unique plant fibers every week? If you don't, you need Zinobiotic. And here's my power tonic to share with all of you. This is my favorite health drink. Half a lemon or lime squeeze, splash of apple cider vinegar, ounce of cranberry juice, ounce of pomegranate juice. By the way, even these affect the gut microbiome. And a scoop of Zinobiotic, and fill the glass with water. We're done.
Thank you, Brigitte. Oh, I don't know. I had something here. So I suspect that there was a question here on the chat. Why can't I remove my finger? Okay, there was a question on the chat. I think it was from Ken. He was asking, what is the proper dosage for Zinoshine? So what is your recommendation, Brigitte?
For Zinoshine, there's no proper dosage because it's person to person. So that's why you need to test. It's a tough one because it's like that's why you have to retest to see how you're optimizing it. So I tested my levels before I started taking Zinoshine. They were not, this is really interesting. So I had tested them a year ago because I hadn't supplemented with D for a year and a half because I have just been living in summer, and I was like, I'm just getting sunshine all year round. And I was not good. I was 45. And so I bought a supplement that was 10,000 IU. Remember what I just told you not to do? I was like, got a high dose supplement to get my numbers up. And I started, now it was over the winter time, and I was taking the supplement when I was introduced to Zinzino. And I was like, okay, let me just finish this out and test before I start taking the Zinoshine. Guess what? I tested, I did my D3 test, and I was 41. So I got worse.
Wow.
So anyway, so that supplement that I took, which was just like a supplement from like a Celeru or something, it was it's wild. It was completely ineffective. So now I'm taking the Zinoshine daily. I take 2 to 3 a day. If I am out in the sun in a bikini, like I was for a couple days, fully exposed to the sun for over 30 minutes, I don't need to take my supplement because I'm getting like 20,000 IU from the sun. Okay, that's fine. But otherwise, I take 2 to 3 a day. But that's going to be person. So I recommend someone starting with two, testing, and that'll tell you if you need to increase it or decrease it.
Makes sense.
Um, Bridget, just one question from, oh, well, it's not so much a question, it's kind of a request, because although I know that you've mentioned in the beginning that today focus wouldn't be about the balanced soil because there's so much information about the balanced soil, although there's a lot of new faces in here, and would love them to hear from you what really caught your attention about the balanced soil. And I know that you turn your back to a lot of omega-3 supplements. So first, why did you turn your back to omega-3 supplements, and why did you say yes to Zinzino and the balanced oil?
Yes, I was very much jaded by the fish oil supplement industry because, like we all know, like as a nutritionist, I know that omega-3, EPA, DHA is important. However, I knew that all the supplements were oxidized and I just didn't trust any brands out there. I've taken maybe a couple of expensive, oh, I'm just going to call them expensive brands because I can't call them quality brands. Taken some of them before. It didn't really, I didn't have available the ability to test, so I didn't know how effective they were. And so I honestly, I stopped recommending them to my clients because I don't feel good recommending something I don't trust, right? So then I just told all my clients to eat, eat wild caught salmon, eat sardines, do the best with their nutrition, eat the plant-based versions coming from like flax, chia seed, and walnuts. Um, Sylvia's been one of my clients for many years, so she knows my teachings on all of this, and to cut out seed oils. And by the way, I've been teaching about omega-6 to 3 ratio. I have been teaching that for like 15 years. I actually looked back at one of my old webinars and I was like, oh my word, I was teaching about 6 to 3 ratio like years ago, but didn't have the ability to test it. And so so number one for me, it was just having the ability to test was a game changer for me and for my clients. And then when I studied the balance oil and looked at how they had brought the scientific studies of the polyphenols, protecting the omega-3, creating a stable oil and that can actually assimilate into the cell membrane. And then to see the clinical studies that proved that it works, that was everything for me. And literally, like I added that to all my programs, all my clients. It's changed everything.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. I'm not sure if there's anyone that has any questions. We don't have the opportunity to have Bridget available to all of us here. So if anyone wants to ask, please, I
Um,
think, yeah.
Quick thing, let me just, I think I missed this on vitamin D supplementation. That supplement must be taken in the morning. If you take vitamin D at night, it will mess with your circadian rhythm. Remember, Zinoshine, sunshine, we benefit from it in the morning. We don't want it at night. It'll keep us awake. Okay, so that supplement needs to be taken in the morning.
Yes, so I'm thinking, okay, so we have the vitamin, the Zinoshine. Do we get a decent amount of vitamin D3 from the other supplements, from the other, the balance oil and the other things, or do we really need to test and to do the Zinoshine, all of us?
You should test. Yes, you should. That's the answer. Test.
Yeah, yeah. But so you do think that it's not enough vitamin D3 in those others?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But one so it's like so I think that I'm not going to name names, but someone's told me their numbers without taking the Zinoshine, and they were thought they were enough because they were basing it on reference ranges. But in my opinion, I think we should be at higher numbers, like above a 50 or a 60 and I'm basing those numbers based on cancer research and autoimmune research and COVID research. So when someone was above a 65, the risk of cancer, death from COVID or COVID infection and autoimmune is heavily minimized.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brigitte. Okay, I hope, like Brigitte mentioned, there's lots of training, there's lots of information about the products. We have the resources. So Brigitte mentioned about Dr. Paul Clayton with all his talks and what we can then take from there. And you know that then we will all be available, and you have your personal groups then to reach out with questions and such. So I think that will be all from today. So we passed a little bit about the 30 minutes, but I think it was well worth it. The next one we have then, hold on, Ulrika, go for it.
Yes, so just to ask Brigitte as well, the Extend Plus over the Extend. I understand that she's, suggesting Extend Plus. Am I right? That is what we should go for.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. And there was because the beta glucans, especially, yeah, and the
No, they have I mean, there's beta glucans in the Extend. My reasoning is based on MTHFR, and for that population, synthetics is not good for them. The synthetic vitamins can be problematic for them.
Okay, so in the Extend Plus, you would have the naturally derived Bs, vitamin Bs. Okay, okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So for those that don't know, I just put it on the chat box. You have the personal blog from Dr. Paul Clayton. So feel free to have it on your phone, on your computer, and you can always have regular updates from Dr. Paul.
Brigitte, I don't know if you want to share as well on the chat your Facebook, your website, because you know that you have a community on Facebook that people then can follow you. So I don't know if you want to share here. Some of us are already there. Others, as they are new, they might not know of your existence. They now know. So
put it on the Be Health group.
On the Be Health group.
Yeah,
so if you want to, you have that. I think some people probably are interested in that. Okay. So thank you so much. So now I'm going to speak in Portuguese. So thank you so much. You know, next Monday we'll have more. Don't forget Wednesday we'll have our team session celebration and what's happening in this June and how we can maximize. But now we're going to turn into Portuguese. Okay. So thank you, Brigitte. Thank you, everyone.